What's up, folks? Welcome back to the Best Show Ever podcast, the podcast where I interview people about the best shows they have ever seen in their lives. I'm your host, Cam Herdt. This is another recap. We've had another weekend of music. Back in the polo fields in Golden Gate Park, back in San Francisco, and a very different atmosphere. As you guys all know very well, Outside Lands is not quite the heady jam band Super Bowl that GD60 is or was. And I know that Outside Lands used to be a little bit more of a jam band focused festival, or have a little bit more of that element to it. It is now, it's just become simply one of the biggest festivals on the planet, with a lineup that reflects the popular music of the day. The Outside Lands has some of the biggest emerging artists coming up on their lineup, and as well as just some of the biggest names in music, period. And so, for those of you who you guys know that this channel typically covers jam band stuff, Fish, Grateful Dead, and the like. We don't have too much of the jam band thing on this episode, but it is good, I'll tell you what, to get out and see music that is not in my bubble of the stuff I listen to every single day. Get out and see some artists that are not in this jam band world that I have my head so far stuck up my ass in. So sometimes, and see some people who are really on fire right now, with maybe a crowd that is a little younger than me. You know, I'll say this about the Outside Lands experience as a whole: like it can be compared directly to what I had back in Chicago at Lollapalooza. That's kind of our, like, now that's a huge popular festival. It's not so much like the punk, alti festival that it used to be. Now it's just like huge, massive artists on big stages with huge crowds, and that's what Outside Lands is too. Especially if you look at some of the footage from this weekend. I mean, the crowds are just massive, massive, massive. But Lollapalooza, at least it locally in that area, and also like in Wisconsin, is just known as, like, younger kids are going down there and they're getting fucked up. They're throwing up in trash cans. They're losing their phones all over the place. Every group of kids has one that has lost their phone, and it's a lot of these kids' first time out of the house doing a big music festival situation like this. And that is also, it is true of Outside Lands that they have a younger audience, but it really does bring the city together in a way that that Lollapalooza also does. But the San Francisco crowd is just cool. Everyone's dressed cool. Everyone's super chill, very relaxed individuals out here in the Bay Area. Not a lot of, like, I mean, of course, some raging, of course, some hooting, some hollering, some chomping. That's just standard at concerts these days. But the people out here in the Bay Area are very, very cool, very chill. Got very cool outfits on. The temperature is cool outside, so everyone's in layers and got sick jackets going and all that kind of stuff. And I do just kind of dig the crowd. While it is a ton of people, it is a ton of people to get through when you go to a massive event like this. In this area of Golden Gate Park, it's just a ton of people, but everyone's very relaxed, very cool, and there are just more than just kids, more than just young teens there seeing the show. Like, there are, it brings folks out in numbers of all ages, who just want to be a part of this massive event that goes on in San Francisco. Super fucking cool. And so was also happy to be there with my fiance Jess this weekend, and we saw some great music on Friday. We go in and we see Mannequin Pussy is the first band that we see. Mannequin Pussy, massively cool punk band that is just politically minded in a out front way. Made that clear during and in between songs. Just a fucking hardcore ass way to start the weekend. I made a video of me being at the Mannequin Pussy show, expecting to be taken away by Grateful Dead music. This is not Grateful Dead music. This is like the fucking exact opposite of that. It was heavy and it was raging and it was sick. And maybe the sickest part of it is, and this is like 10 minutes into the festival. Jess and I quickly make a video that I had an idea for. I feel really good about that. I see the director that I'm working with, for the festival in the marketing department for Another Planet. I'm like, hey, I can't wait to report to them that I've done my homework for the day and I've got something that I'm going to send over in a second here. And she's like, that's awesome. I'm about to give these wristbands to Conan. I'm like O'Brien Conan? She's like, yeah, man. Do you want to walk with me? I was like, yeah, yes, in a major way. Super fucking cool of her to do that. Walks me over. This is right at the end of the Mannequin Pussy set. Conan, his direction to my director was that I'm in the crowd dressed like a sheriff. And we walk up on this guy who's about 6'4", 6'5", and he's got like a cowboy hat on. Not cowboy hat, kind of. Yeah, it is a sheriff hat. Um, and he's with his daughter, who is clearly there to see Mannequin Pussy. She hands him the wristbands, and the end of the last song kind of cascades on everybody. They're like, "Thank you, have a great day. We've been Mannequin Pussy." And I'm standing there next to Conan, and we've kind of now made eye contact, and I've made eye contact with, Sarah, my person, so he knows that I'm there with the person who's there to talk to him. I'm wearing my dad's Chicago Bears leather jacket that he gave me a little while ago, and Conan goes, "Are you actually from Chicago, or is that just a cool jacket?" Um, and we strike up a conversation about comedy and music and introducing comedy at a music festival and emceeing and how cool of a gig that is. And Conan does the opposite thing of, when he finds out that I do comedy, he chatted more. We really sat and chatted, me, him, his daughter, Sarah, and then my fiance, Jess. We were all five of us there were chatting for a little while, and he was just the coolest. And I did not do the like, and I just want you to know how much you mean to me, type of a thing, because I didn't know how to do that in that moment. I was brought over there with no time to think about it, and Conan is just, he's one of those guys that I've always said that if I did meet him, I don't know what I would say. I don't know how I would be around the guy who is just the bit master, and he was so fucking cool. We talked about Second City in Chicago, and he's just doing bits back and forth. And at some point, he's like, "Well, we should probably do a picture, right?" Just like a guy knowing exactly who he is to a fellow comedian. He knows that he is, a Mount Rushmore type figure for anybody who's ever written any comedy of any kind. And so super, super cool way to start off the weekend. Like I said, that is 10 minutes into being at the festival. And I'm like, okay, I don't, we can leave. I have to go lay down for 4 days after that experience. Took the picture with him. One of the really great bits is, he asked if the jacket was a cool jacket. I'm like, no, this is my dad's jacket. He gave this to me. His name is written in the back of it. So this is legit. I didn't buy this for $500 in LA. This is like an heirloom. And I'm also wearing like a little clip on my hat, like a little sprout on the edge of my hat. And Conan points at the sprout and goes, "Did your dad also give you that?" I said, "Yes, this is also a family heirloom, of course." Conan's like, "Ah, yes, your dad has been coming here to Outside Lands since the 40s, I assume." I'm like, "Yep. Been coming here for decades." He goes, "Mannequin Pussy, saw them in 1945. I was like, "Yep, them and Nat King Cole. And we're off and running doing bits." I could talk about that interaction for 2 hours. We're not going to do that, but it was just one of the highlights of my life, one of the highlights of this weekend, and it happened immediately after the Mannequin Pussy show. Like I always dreamt it would happen. Just incredible to meet that guy and see him around at the festival. We also in that day see Thundercat. Thundercat is one of the best bassists on the planet. I don't know if you're unfamiliar. This guy is a virtuoso and has been for years. His current situation, his current band is just a brain scrambler. They are just playing the fastest jazz licks you've ever heard in your life. The drummer is insane. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but the Thundercat was an incredible artist to see starting off the day. But then we get to see sort of back to back these two rap icon women in the scene, Doechii, who has kind of been coming up over the last year or so here, and then Doja Cat, who has been a little bit more of an established name, but was almost sort of like in a Rihanna sort of situation where she's been gone for a little while. People have been waiting for her return, and so to have those two artists back to back, you could tell the crowd was very much there for those two artists. And Doechii was incredible. My friend Jai is like, you got to get down to see Doechii. I was like, I had no idea you were a huge rap fan or just a hip hop fan at all. And he's like, no, this is like one of my fish buddies. He's like, no, you got to see Doechii. The show's incredible. And every moment of that show, I mean, this is like the exact opposite of a jam show. Every moment of that show is calculated and rehearsed down to the nth degree, and it is shot like a music video throughout the entire time. It's edited along with other footage that they've gotten outside of this and other music videos that they've gotten outside of this, on top of shots of the crowd and shots of what's going on stage. And those shots of what's happening live are, like I said, shot as if it's a music video. The production was incredible. The DJ booth was an entire boombox, that the DJ sat within, and Doechii kind of performed in and around. There were slides coming off of the boombox. This is just clearly an artist that, one, has a super captive audience. The place was going fucking crazy for her. And she is killing these new stages for the first time. I mean, the footage from Lollapalooza of Doechii, just looked insane. Like very much of like what the Chapel Roan shows looked like last year. Just massive crowds that she's performing for. And to get to be in one of those crowds this summer and see her, it was like one of those situations of like, man, this is probably someone who's about to be fucking huge. She already is, but even huger in a way. So super cool to see that show. If you can get any footage of that show, you should look it up. It's insane crowd shots from the Doechii show. Doja Cat and Beck were what kind of closed the night off for us. Doja Cat was on the main stage, and then Beck was on the I believe the Twin Peaks stage with an orchestra. Both of those shows kind of just fell short of expectation. Pretty much right away during the Doja Cat thing, Jess and I were just like, they might have made a huge mistake here putting her after Doechii. I feel like that was the sentiment across a lot of people's thoughts. It's hard to calculate. In the beginning of the summer when you're looking at it, you're like, here's an artist that's been around for 10 years that has all these hits. Maybe not 10 years, but 5 years at least, has all these hits. Doja Cat, she's making her return. That should obviously be the main stage act. And Doechii is, hot right now, but probably not ready for the main stage scenario. Man, during the first half of Doja Cat's set, Jess and I were a little like, man, I would not want to follow Doechii. I will say that. I would not want to follow Doechii. Still cool to hear those songs, but we did kind of peel out to go over to Beck, which was a little closer to where the exit of the park is. You have to know, Jess and I are in our 30s now. We're not just thinking about what artists we want to see. We also want the ease of leaving is a huge part of the show. And so in the name of the ease of leaving and also wanting to see the show, we got over to Beck with the symphony orchestra. And I just got to be honest, I was really very much looking forward to this set, and it was just a little bit of a It didn't captivate the people who were there. You could tell the whole entire crowd, it felt like, was chatting and milling about. And, this is a big piece of music, a big slice of pie, for people to have the orchestra and, have Beck involved. And these are songs that are not popular on the radio, a lot of the ones that he's working through. And so it just lacked a little bit of like the attention and the crowd captivation that I think could have made it a very, very cool experience. And we ended up kind of closing our night off with that and then taking off. And I got to tell you, those shows end around 10. And so that made sure that Jess and I were able to get home at like 10:30. That feels like a cheat code for what's been going on lately. After Fish shows, you're up, at least for me, I am wired after a Fish show, so I'm up until 3 or 4 in the morning at least. And you're doing afters. Same thing with the GD60 weekend. We were doing afters after GD60, and so we're going to bed at the earliest like 2 in the morning. And so to get home and to be in bed with some ice cream and our cat at 11, man, that felt like we stole something. Super, super cool day on Friday. Obviously, meeting Conan, a major highlight of my life. Had to talk about that in a big way. And Saturday sets up for like maybe the coolest day of this festival. We got to open our day with Vampire Weekend and Bay Ledges. I mean, Vampire Weekend draws a huge crowd for their day set. They would also do a night set in the same day with no repeats in between the two. So very cool out of them. I think they did take a crack at Peggio in the later set that I was not there for, and I heard it was fine. So I was told that they were going to do some dead stuff. They did take a poke at one of them, but we started our day with a little bit of Vampire Weekend and Bay Ledges, local guy, Berkeley guy, chill guy. Bay Ledges is music that Jess is a huge fan of, my fiance, and it is the music that I link to the beginning of our relationship a ton. She'd be playing that in the car or like playing that in the house, like when I would like come over and there would be like chill music playing, as if there was always chill music playing and she wasn't just like being chill for when someone would come over. It was like, oh yeah, no, this chill Bay Ledges was always playing. I didn't just put it specifically on for our date that we're about to have right now. That's what I link that music to. So it's very cool to be there with Jess, my fiance, listening to Bay Ledges during the day at the festival. Excellent start to the day. Jess is also a big house music fan, and so she's like, "Can I pull you over to Girl Math at the Soma stage? Can we go see some DJs?" This is well out of my wheelhouse and comfort zone. So we went over and raided some Girl Math, man. We were up close to the DJ booth too. It was sick. We were, it felt like we were some of the only people that were in our 30s. We're popping ibuprofen in the crowd, making sure we had our Tums on us, dancing and all that stuff. And we got kids around us raging. Kind of hilarious scene. But Girl Math was excellent. And that from there, as much as I wanted to stay listening to the house music, this was the night that Tyler the Creator was performing. And it felt as if, while we're walking around the festival that day, it felt like everyone that I saw was in Tyler the Creator gear of some kind. Hats, shirts, all the gear from all the different years. I'm a big fan of Tyler the Creator. I've kind of have become one in the last maybe 5 years, 6 years. He's an artist that the arc of his career is just so interesting to me, and like the choices that he has made over the last couple albums have been just infinitely interesting to me. Not only in the hip hop space, just as an artist and a musician. So I have been waiting a long time to see Tyler the Creator. I really, really wanted to get a good spot to see Tyler, and so in a way that I really never am. I'm not rail rider guy. I'm usually not guy who needs to be close. But I was like, you know what? We're gonna treat this like a festival, like I maybe did back in the day, and I'm gonna go now over to the stage, and I'm gonna start hunkering down for a good spot. Maybe like 2 artists previous to Tyler, and so I got my ass over to the main stage and got an excellent spot for the first of the 2 artists leading up to Tyler the Creator, being Ludacris. And dude, that show was something. I'll say this: I was very excited for the Ludacris show. He is, that's like the rapper that he's one of the biggest rappers from my childhood. When we would run the mile in gym class, we'd be like rapping along to Ludacris songs, get in trouble for that. This is, like him and Eminem were like the big rappers when I was in grade school in the early 2000s. And so getting to see some of those songs on stage, I was stoked. Felt like there was a lot of people my age in the crowd getting down, a lot of Atlanta hats, people excited about Ludacris. Got area codes going into Use a Ho, the Ho Ho back-to-back set list jam. I mean, come on. You haven't seen set list structure like that. I mean, maybe SPAC was as good of a set list. Maybe the first set of SPAC on Sunday was as good a set list as what Luda put together. No, I mean it was sick. It was. I mean, listen, he is one of the biggest rappers of all time. He's got hits on hits on hits. You know, it was an excellent show. It was so much fun to see Luda in a kind of hilarious change up. You know, after like Get Back and Roll Out and songs like that, we got Gracie Abrams. And if you're not familiar with Gracie Abrams, she writes songs that are a little more like the titles are like I love you, I'm sorry, I miss you, I'm sorry. A lot of the songs have to deal with that she's sorry about the feelings that she has for someone. It's a gentler show. She's kind of a girl pop icon. A lot of the crowd went from a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds in Jordans to little like 5 to 10-year-old girls with glitter on their face and like in a unicorn hat on. You know, that kind of stuff. That's kind of how the crowd changed up. I didn't. My spot stayed the same. It was me in the spot, but I was around the Gracie Abrams crowd. It was excellent. It was an excellent show. She is a fantastic performer. Came out in this like long flowing dress, and her band is excellent, and her voice is powerful. She clearly had people that were super fans of her that waited hours and hours and hours to see her. And so Jess and I really did have a great time in the crowd, kind of witnessing this girl pop icon that we would have never bought tickets to that show. That's not a show that we would attend. But to see kids excited about live music and seeing their favorite artists and waving to her in between songs and like screaming, "Hi, Gracie," and all that kind of stuff. It was adorable. The scene was adorable. And so, but I gotta say, putting her in between Ludacris and Tyler the Creator is one of the funniest things I've ever experienced. That was just such a hard turn, such a different set. The set break between Luda and Tyler to be Gracie Abrams was peaceful and needed, and just so far out of left field. Kind of a hilarious pairing. But by the time that Gracie was done, the crowd started to get pretty thick around us. Not too thick, but I was very happy that we had a really good spot. We were up very close, and there was a sign that got put up on the screen right before Tyler went on the stage that said, like, take a step back before we start the show. The show started a little bit late because I think they were doing a little bit of crowd management, and so just one of those scenarios where people are really, really excited for this artist. It was by far and away the most packed day of the three. And I believe that really was a Tyler thing. And it showed. People were out for him in numbers. And his show was just electric. His new album is an album that I wasn't super familiar with. It's the Don't Tap the Glass album, which is coming right after the Chromacopia album, which is coming right after the Call Me If You Get Lost album. The two albums that are before this for Tyler are super introspective, very much him taking a look at himself as an artist, and even kind of exploring some of the deeper and like darker areas of being an artist or a popular artist, especially a popular Black artist in America in these times that we're in, making that music super deep. And those are both tours that I've missed and wanted to see. And this new album, Don't Tap the Glass, he gives rules at the top of the album, which he did at the top of the show as well, which is, I think the first one is like, move your body. It's going to be important body movement is important, and move your body. The second one is like only speak in exalted tones or something like that. It's like, don't bring your baggage. This isn't going to be heavy. Like, we're just talking about cool shit. And don't tap the glass, meaning like, don't fuck with him. And he says at the beginning of the show, like, I just want to dance with you guys. Is that cool? Can we do that? And that's exactly what this was. This was him getting down with his fans after some of the darkest albums that he's put out. He put out this bright, joyful hip hop dance record, and the performance is just him on top of this massive trailer. I've got a little like model of it back here. This little trailer right here that says "Don't Tap the Glass" on it. Just super poetic. I just feel him being like, don't fuck with me. but I'm gonna entertain you guys, but just do not pry into my life. He's got a line on the new album about how his fans are weird, and that's a bridge that we can cross into our community in the jam world. Certainly, the way that we treat people like Trey, or the way that Jerry got treated, or any of that kind of stuff, that just exalt these people to a weird place when they really just want to perform for us, and have us experience joy in the same way that they do when they perform. And so it was this really, really cool, very powerful performance, that he maintained just himself. I've seen a lot of different hip hop shows where it is just kind of the artist and maybe a DJ on stage, or an artist and they've got a bunch of different people on stage, or maybe they did bring a band, or something like that. But I've never seen an artist just themselves on stage for the entire duration, interacting with no one but the crowd. There was a little bit of pyrotechnics in there. Like, I think he had some fire at maybe 1 or 2 points, and set off a firework or two. But it was just the lights and him. And there's 2 video boards that are just showing him. They weren't showing any. I mean, they showed the crowd a little bit, but no crazy visuals of any kind. It's an amazing feat to watch a performer hold an audience at that level with like no lull, and maintain that for the entire set. I'd imagine that's what it's like to see someone like Freddie Mercury, or one of these, Robin Williams, someone who is just so unbelievably enigmatic, and embodies what their performance is so much that they can sustain that. They don't have to kick it to a band member or anyone else on stage. They don't have to bring out a special guest. They don't even have to have anyone else on stage. It's just the music that he produced in the background. And he is, rapping and dancing to it. And it's not like this isn't choreographed dancing, or he's not hitting any marks. He is just performing the music for us. It really was something inspiring to see. And the life of a comedian is typically someone who is taking the stage by themselves with no other help from anyone else. And, that's what, out of the best comedy specials that are an hour, like, that's something that is so impressive that someone's able to sustain that experience. But watching Tyler do that was, you felt like you were watching an icon. You kind of knew, at least I felt in watching him, I was like, this is someone who is a generational talent and a generational performer, and someone who believes in all the choices that he's making so much. And you can tell in the performance. It came through. It was powerful. It was excellent. I'm obviously a fan. I was very much looking forward to it. I did see some people talking about how this album isn't, as interesting as the introspective albums. It's not as deep, but he literally says this album is not meant to be deep. This is an artistic exercise in me now getting back to having a little fun. Maybe still talking about my life a little bit, but let's dance. Let's have a little joy with all the success that has come off of these albums. So obviously I loved that. Obviously it was a highlight for me. Seeing Tyler, excellent performance. And, especially in a world where I'm seeing a lot of acts that have a ton of instruments on stage, this is just one guy. And it was very interesting. It was a very powerful performance. And his shit's dope. The new album's dope. Sick as fuck. I loved it. This leads us into Sunday. I got to tell you guys. All right. I haven't made too much mention of this, but listen, I have gone from High Sierra, which was 4th of July weekend. I then the next week went to Wisconsin with my folks for a little bit. That started Fish Chicago. That went to Fish New York. The week after that was a full week, which led into GD60, which led into this weekend Outside Lands right now. So yesterday, Sunday, I was toast. I was dead. Okay. I'm pretty fried as it is right now. My legs are mashed potatoes, cooked pasta, if you will. And my brain is firing at almost nearly zero capacity. And so I got to tell you, Sunday, I was doing everything I could to stay in it. think I bought like 6 coffees. Coffees were great espresso at Outside Lands. The food altogether at Outside Lands, this is not news. The food at Outside Lands is fantastic. All of the vendors, unbelievable. There's a lot of the similar vendors that were at GD60. So if you were there, you know that they don't mess around about the food in San Francisco. That's why I like it out here. It is, they take pride in it, and the food and the drinks were fantastic. The coffee was fantastic, and it was needed on Sunday. I think I had like 6 espressos. I'm not kidding. Um, and we ended up seeing a really great lineup of music on Sunday. Opened up the day with Phineas. It's Billie Eilish's brother, has helped make and produce a lot of her music, and he was fantastic. His music was excellent. He's got a very cool band put together. That is music that I don't know at all, but that is a guy who is a genius musically, so, and it was very apparent in seeing the show. And so super cool way to start the day. We go over and see Big X the Plug, a little more rap before the weekend ends. Dude is fucking huge. He's the biggest, the largest even. That was a crazy show to see. Also just made a little quick comedy video over there about me falling asleep. That had nothing to do with me falling asleep at Big X the Plug's set. I'm just tired from the whole summer, man. Okay? Just doing my best to stay alive. That was the bit. Big X the Plug is something that you should not be asleep for. It was fucking sick. And again, that's the guy. He's got other rappers on stage. He's got a DJ on stage. Same thing with Ludacris. Ludacris has a DJ that he kicked to a ton. Doechii also had other tons of performers and another DJ that she kicked to a lot on stage. Just going back to the Tyler thing, insane that he sustained his set, the entire thing by himself at that high of a level of energy. Crazy. We then go into Glass Animals. Glass Animals is an act that I have never seen but listened to so much. I mean, has just come up on so many chill playlists of mine. This is an artist that Jess definitely wanted to see. We've got some Glass Animals vinyl here in the house, and obviously their song "Gooey" was massive when we were in college. Felt like that was like a definite pregame song or something. I don't know. Chilling after doing Dab's song. Got to see Glass Animals, a little bit of that set. That was fantastic. The crowd was pretty big for that one. And so we made our way back over to the edge of the park where the Twin Peaks and Panhandle stage were to see Georgia Smith, one of Jess's favorites. Amazing, incredible, angelic voice on Georgia Smith. Also, she's just got some great pop hits as well, but her voice is maybe the best vocalist we saw all weekend, possibly. And awesome just to see Jess enjoying one of her favorite artists there. That was a big part of this weekend. You know, this is not music that I am normally putting on for myself, but a lot of these artists are people that Jess is a fan of. And so we go to a lot of my shit, man. We go to a lot of Fish stuff. We go to a lot of Dead stuff. We go to a lot of jam stuff in general. And she is so down and has become a massive fan of some of these bands. Dogs in a Pile and Goose and Fish, and loves all the Grateful Dead presentations that we've gone to. But it was nice to be in her world a little bit and watch her kind of go nuts at some of these artists. Definitely made it more fun for me. I'll tell you that much. Got to see Georgia Smith. Into Neil Francis. This is maybe the first name of the weekend that pops into our world and the jam world often. He was excellent. He brought just his band piece, no horn section. I hadn't seen that presentation of Neil yet, and so it was very cool to watch him. And the crowd was down. He had a great crowd at the Panhandle stage, and the consensus of people around us are like, he should be on a bigger stage. This should be a bigger thing for him. And so hopefully that is the case as Neil moves into 2026. It was an awesome set. There's a little bit of fog rain going on the whole time, so fitting with some of his music. His set is just excellent, and his band is just tight as fuck. And so super cool to see Neil wrapping up the weekend right before Anderson Paak. Anderson Paak, another artist similar to Tyler, who I have just found very interesting and cool and funky over the years. The Anderson Paak Tiny Desk concert is one that I've if it was a tape, I would have played it out by now. He is just a super talented, super funky, excellent performer, playing the drums and singing, bringing out dancers and horns and all that kind of stuff. He brought E40 out during this performance, and so obviously the Bay Area is going crazy for E40. Super fucking cool way to end the weekend, and just an excellent festival to attend. Like I said, looking at this lineup before, when I'm going through my day-to-day life of listening to a bunch of Dead stuff, a bunch of jam bands, King Giz and Billy Strings, and things like that, those names aren't reflected on this lineup. And so right away you're like, oh, well, maybe this isn't something that's going to be for me. But these are some of the biggest artists in the world that are playing one of the biggest stages that in our country for the first time in front of the coolest audience of folks, like we talked about earlier, just a cool fucking cultured crowd in San Francisco. And so it was very cool to step outside of my world for a little bit and see some artists that I don't listen to, see some different presentations of music, see some different genres of music, and hear some hip hop and hear some DJs, and just see how crowds react to that music as well. And we try to hit everything that we can within our scene, and that is super cool. But there's history being made across music all the time. That is not just guitar-based jamming. And so important to go out and see, obviously, your local acts and your smaller indie acts and people who perform in your city and your region often. But it was also cool to get up and see some of these major pop acts and see what the presentation of music is looking like. Are the kids going to be all right? Are they still going to go see heady shows? It seems like it. It seems like they are. Of course, there's a lot of phones out all weekend, but hey, man, that's the world now, and it was just so excellent to be in San Francisco, eating good food, drinking good coffee, seeing good music, back in the park. I'm going to miss the Polo Grounds. I'm going to miss, the Golden Gate Park experience. I've been doing that for the last 2 weekends now. I feel like I live there. But it is off to King Giz Fest this weekend. You'll be seeing me doing a recap of that as well. I'll be doing some media stuff while I'm there. And I cannot wait for that festival. But if you had the chance, make sure you go on and find some stuff from Outside Lands, find some of the live stream sets. If any of these artists are people who are intriguing to you, these shows were very, very cool presentations of their music. And so check that out. Thank you again to Another Planet and Sarah Dempsey for getting me out to Outside Lands and having me be a part of it. I make no sense at all for their marketing team. The content that I make has nothing to do with anything that's on their lineup. And so it was cool that some cool people brought me in and just wanted me to make some stuff anyway and enjoy the weekend with my fiance. So thank you so much for having me. And look out for more recaps, guys. If you're just finding the podcast, please subscribe and do all that kind of stuff. It really helps out with getting the word out about this podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you want to give us a rating or leave a comment or any of that kind of stuff, please feel free. Thank you for everyone who has been subscribing recently. We love to have you. We also have a Patreon where all of these episodes go out first. So you can get access to everything before everybody else for $4 a month. I also got some bonus content on there. But until next time, guys, have a great show.